The house was too quiet. Marcus Donovan's $4.2 million Houston penthouse should have been filled with the sounds of his pregnant wife preparing for bed, humming while making chamomile tea, moving around their master bedroom, talking to their unborn daughter the way she did every night at exactly 9:30 p.m. Instead, he heard nothing. Just the distant hum of downtown traffic 40 floors below and the sound of muffled sobbing coming from behind their bedroom door. Subscribe and comment where you're watching from. This gets devastating fast. Marcus dropped his briefcase beside the marble entryway and loosened his tie. He'd spent 14 hours closing a $180 million real estate deal in Dallas, flew back on his private jet, and rushed home to share the news with Sienna. 7 months pregnant and glowing, she'd been excited about their expansion into Texas markets. Now something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Sienna? Baby, where are you? The sobbing grew louder. Coming from their bathroom. He found her on the cold tile floor, knees pulled to her chest as much as her pregnant belly would allow. Her brown skin was streaked with mascara, her normally perfect curls disheveled, her silk nightgown wrinkled and damp with tears. In her shaking hands, she clutched her iPhone like it was a lifeline. Or a bomb. Marcus had never seen his wife like this. Not in 2 years of marriage. Not even when they'd lost their first pregnancy 6 months after their wedding. This was different. This was terror. Sienna, talk to me. What happened? Is it the baby? Should I call Dr. Martinez? They know. Her voice was barely a whisper, hollow and broken. They finally know. Who knows what? You're scaring me. She turned the phone toward him with trembling fingers. On the screen, a video. 8 seconds of grainy security footage that looked like it was filmed on a potato. The timestamp read March 15, 2013, 12 years ago. The image quality was terrible, but Marcus could make out a convenience store interior. Bright fluorescent lights. A teenage girl, black, thin, desperate-looking, running toward the exit. Police sirens wailing in the background. The girl disappearing through the door just as a gunshot cracked through the audio. The girl's face was visible for exactly 2 seconds. But 2 seconds was enough. It was Sienna. 12 years younger, different hairstyle, but unmistakably his wife. I didn't tell you, she sobbed, her words tumbling out in a rush. I couldn't. How could I? You're Marcus Donovan, real estate billionaire, philanthropist, the man who came from nothing and built everything with integrity. You give speeches about honest business practices. You donate millions to charity. How could I tell you that the woman you married came from worse than nothing? That I wasn't just poor, I was a criminal. Marcus stared at the video, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. His wife, his brilliant, elegant, educated wife who spoke 3 languages and had a master's degree from Rice University, had been running from police as a teenager. With a gun involved. What did you do? He asked quietly. I stole baby formula. The words came out like a confession she'd been carrying for a decade. From a convenience store in Detroit. I was 17, Marcus. My baby sister Destiny was 6 months old, crying from hunger because our mother was high on crack again and there wasn't any food in the apartment. No money. No formula. No anything. I took 3 cans of Enfamil and ran. The clerk caught me, called the cops. Officer Vincent Hayes, her voice broke on the name. He chased me into an alley. And he didn't just arrest me. He shot at me. Actually fired his weapon at an unarmed teenage girl holding baby formula. Jesus Christ. Did he? Were you hurt? He missed. Barely. The bullet hit a brick wall 6 inches from my head. I ran. Escaped through backyards and abandoned buildings. Changed my name legally when I turned 18. Kennedy Brooks became Sienna Hayes, then Sienna Chen when I got married the first time, then back to Sienna Hayes after my divorce, then Sienna Donovan when I married you. I erased every trace of Kennedy Brooks. Built a new life. Thought I was finally safe. Marcus knelt on the tile beside her, his expensive suit wrinkling against the bathroom floor. Why didn't you tell me before? We've been married 2 years. Because I was terrified you'd leave me. Look at this house. Look at your empire. You're worth $3 billion, Marcus. You have a reputation. Standards. I'm a woman who stole food and got shot at by police in Detroit's worst neighborhood. What place do I have in your world? What place does our baby have if the truth comes out? She scrolled past the video to a message below it. Marcus read it and felt his blood turn to ice. Kennedy Brooks, wanted for armed robbery and evading arrest, Detroit PD, 2013. Additional charges: assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, endangering public safety. Statute of limitations doesn't apply when the suspect flees jurisdiction. We know where you are now. We know who you married. We know about the baby. Pay $5 million by Friday 11:59 p.m. or this video goes to CNN, Fox News, the Houston Chronicle, and every business publication in America. Your husband's reputation will be destroyed. His investors will flee. His empire will collapse. Your baby will be born in a federal prison. You have 72 hours. Don't involve police. We're watching. The message was sent from an encrypted number. Untraceable. Professional. Marcus read it twice, his mind racing through implications. If this video went public, every deal he'd ever made would be scrutinized. Every business partner would distance themselves. Every investor would demand explanations. The media would paint him as either a fool who married a criminal without knowing, or an accomplice who helped her evade justice. Either way, his company would be finished. His reputation would be destroyed. And Sienna. Marcus, I'm leaving tonight. Sienna struggled to stand, using the bathroom counter for support. I'll disappear. You can divorce me quietly, tell people I had a nervous breakdown and abandoned you. Blame the pregnancy hormones. Your lawyers will make it clean. You'll recover. But I can't let you sacrifice everything for me. I won't let our baby grow up knowing she destroyed her father's life. Stop. Marcus stood and pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her and their unborn daughter. You're not going anywhere. We're going to find out who sent this. And we're going to destroy them. Marcus, you don't understand. I understand that someone has been watching us. Waiting. Planning this exact moment to destroy our family. His jaw clenched. The timing isn't coincidental. We're 7 months into the pregnancy. 2 weeks away from the biggest expansion deal in company history. They wanted maximum damage. This isn't just about you. This is about us. Sienna looked up at him, tears still streaming. You believe me? About what really happened? I know you, Sienna. The woman I married wouldn't hurt a fly unless she was protecting someone she loved. If you stole formula, it was because a baby was starving. If you ran from that cop, it was because he was going to hurt you. I know who you are. He wiped tears from her face. But what I don't know is who wants to destroy what we built. And why. Hit subscribe and comment where you're watching from. Someone's playing a dangerous game. As if summoned by his words, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. Private caller. He almost didn't answer. But something made him swipe to accept. A voice spoke through the phone. Digitally distorted. Unrecognizable. Cold. Good evening, Mr. Donovan. I trust you've seen our message by now. Who is this? Someone who knows what your wife really did that night in Detroit. Someone who knows what she's been hiding. And someone who knows that $5 million isn't actually what we want from you. Then what do you want? We want Kennedy Brooks to remember what she did. We want her to face what she's been running from. And we want you to realize exactly who you married. Because Mr. Donovan, that video isn't the worst thing your wife has done. It's just the beginning. The line went dead. Marcus stared at the phone, then at Sienna, who'd gone completely pale. "There's more," she whispered. "God help me, there's more." Marcus's downtown Houston office at 2 a.m. looked like a war room. Julian Park, his tech security specialist, had arrived within 20 minutes of Marcus's call, laptop already open and running trace programs before he even sat down. The younger man's fingers flew across the keyboard, eyes scanning lines of code that meant nothing to Marcus but apparently everything to Julian. The message bounced through 12 proxy servers across 8 countries, Julian said without looking up. Russia, Romania, Singapore, Nigeria, Iceland, whoever sent this knows what they're doing. Professional level encryption. But they made one mistake. What mistake? Marcus leaned over Julian's shoulder, watching encrypted data scroll across multiple screens. Metadata. Every digital message leaves traces. The original file was composed in Detroit, Michigan, at 8:47 p.m. yesterday. Then it was routed through the proxy network and sent to Sienna's phone at 9:32 p.m. Julian pulled up a map showing the message's journey across the globe. So whoever is blackmailing your wife has connections to her past and your present. They know her history in Detroit and know exactly where to find her in Houston. Marcus paced his office, staring at the city lights below. Somewhere down there, someone was watching them. Planning their next move. Waiting for Marcus to break. Sienna sat on the leather couch, still in her tear-stained nightgown with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She'd refused to stay home alone. The pregnancy made her exhausted, but fear kept her awake. "There's something I need to tell you," she said quietly. "About that night. About what the blackmailer said, that the video isn't the worst thing I've done." Marcus stopped pacing. Julian kept typing but was clearly listening. "After Officer Hayes shot at me and I escaped, I ran for hours. Through alleys, abandoned buildings, anywhere I could hide. Eventually I made it to an old friend's apartment, a girl named Tasha who dealt drugs to survive. She let me crash on her couch." Sienna's hands trembled. "But Hayes found us. He kicked in the door at 3 a.m. Said I'd assaulted him during the chase, that I was armed and dangerous. Complete lies. Tasha panicked and pulled a knife to defend me. Hayes shot her." "Jesus Christ," Marcus whispered. "She didn't die. But she was hospitalized for weeks. And I ran again. Left her bleeding on that apartment floor and disappeared into the night." Sienna's voice broke. "I was 17, terrified, and convinced if I stayed I'd be blamed for everything. So I left Tasha to face charges alone. She went to prison for 5 years, assault on an officer with a deadly weapon. All because she tried to protect me." Subscribe and comment where you're watching from, her past keeps getting darker. "Does Tasha know where you are now?" Julian asked, still typing. "I don't know. I never contacted her after that night. For all I know, she could be the one blackmailing me. She has every right to hate me. Or Officer Hayes is using her to get to you," Marcus said. "If he's dirty enough to lie in reports and shoot at teenagers, he's dirty enough to orchestrate this blackmail." The office door opened without warning. Marcus's assistant should have stopped anyone from entering at 2 a.m., but the woman who walked in clearly didn't care about protocol. Gabriela Santos. Marcus's business partner and co-owner of their $2 billion real estate portfolio. Latina, 38, impeccably dressed even in the middle of the night, and looking furious. "We have a problem," Gabriela said without preamble. "I just got calls from 3 major investors asking about your legal troubles. Apparently rumors are already spreading that your wife is involved in some kind of scandal. The Mercer Group is threatening to pull out of tomorrow's $400 million deal unless you clarify the situation immediately." Marcus exchanged a glance with Julian. How did they hear anything? This just happened 8 hours ago. I don't know. But the media is sniffing around. I had 2 reporters call my personal cell asking for comment on allegations surrounding Sienna Donovan's past. Someone is already leaking this story. Gabriella finally looked at Sienna, her expression cold. What did you do? That's none of your business, Marcus said sharply. It absolutely is my business when it threatens to destroy everything we've built for 10 years. We have investors, Marcus. Partners. Employees who depend on us. If this scandal collapses the Mercer deal, then we'll rebuild. But I'm not throwing my wife to the wolves to save a business deal. Even if it means losing everything. Yes. Gabriella stared at him like he was a stranger. You've changed. Ever since you married her, you've been different. Softer. Less focused on the company. I've watched you prioritize her over business decisions, over investors, over me, your actual partner who's been with you since the beginning. Gabriella. I'm not finished. She pulled an envelope from her designer purse and dropped it on Marcus's desk. A private investigator I hired found these 2 weeks ago. I was going to give them to you privately, but then this blackmail thing happened and I realized, maybe you need to see them now. Marcus picked up the envelope. Inside. Photocopies of official documents. Kennedy Brooks's juvenile arrest records from Detroit. Charges including theft, evading arrest, resisting an officer, and, his blood went cold, accessory to assault on a police officer. Those are sealed records, Sienna said, standing up. How did you get sealed juvenile records? I have resources. And I use them to protect our business. Gabriella crossed her arms. That assault charge. That happened when your friend Tasha pulled a knife on Officer Hayes. You were charged as an accessory because you were present during the crime. The prosecutor eventually dropped it due to lack of evidence, but it was on your record for years. You're not just a girl who stole baby formula, Sienna. You were involved in a violent confrontation with police that sent someone to the hospital. Hayes shot at me first. I was defending myself. That's not what the police report says. According to official records, you and an accomplice attacked an officer during a lawful arrest. He fired in self-defense. Gabriella's voice was ice. Now someone is blackmailing you with evidence that could destroy Marcus's reputation. And you expect us to believe you're the victim here? Marcus stepped between them. Get out. Now. Marcus, be reasonable. I said get out. You had no right to investigate my wife. You had no right to access sealed records. And you have no right to stand in my office and accuse her of anything. His voice was deadly quiet. Leave. Before I forget we're business partners. Gabriella grabbed her purse. Fine. But when this scandal destroys the company, don't say I didn't warn you. I'll be at the Mercer meeting tomorrow morning trying to salvage what's left of our reputation. You should be there too, unless you'd rather watch everything burn. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the glass. Sienna sank back onto the couch, looking like she might be sick. She's right. This is going to destroy you. She's not right. She's scared. Marcus knelt in front of his wife. But she did give us something useful. If she could access your sealed records with a private investigator, then our blackmailer definitely has them too. Which means they know everything. About Tasha. About the assault charges. About all of it. So what do we do? Julian cleared his throat. I found something. The metadata from the blackmail message, it wasn't just composed in Detroit. It was composed on a device connected to Detroit Police Department's internal network. The room went silent. You're saying a cop sent this? Marcus asked. I'm saying someone with access to DPD's servers composed that message. Whether it's actually a cop or someone who hacked their system, I can't tell yet. But the connection is there. Officer Hayes, Sienna whispered. It has to be. He's the only one who knows what really happened that night. He's been covering it up for 12 years. Now he's making sure I stay quiet. Marcus's phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Tick-tock, Mr. Donovan. 60 hours remaining. But payment isn't what we really want. We want Kennedy to go back to Detroit. We want her to face what she did to Tasha. And we want you to watch your perfect life crumble. Because rich men like you don't marry criminals. And when the world finds out you did, everything you've built will burn. Before Marcus could respond, another message arrived. This one was a photo. Vanessa Thorne. Marcus's ex-fiancée from 5 years ago. Beautiful, blonde, bitter. Standing outside Marcus and Sienna's building. Time stamped 45 minutes ago. The caption read, "Your ex-girlfriend has been very helpful. She wants you back, Marcus. And she's willing to destroy Sienna to make it happen. 59 hours. Don't waste them. Hit subscribe now and comment where you're watching from. Betrayal is everywhere." Marcus stared at the photo. Vanessa. She gave Gabriella that private investigator. And she's working with the blackmailer, Julian added, pulling up more data. I'm tracing her phone records now. She's made 17 calls to Detroit numbers in the past week. Same area code as the blackmail message origin. Sienna stood up, determination replacing fear in her eyes. Then we go to Detroit. Now. Before whoever this is destroys us from the inside out. We have the Mercer meeting in 6 hours, Marcus said. Let Gabriella handle it. She's already decided I'm the problem. Fine. Let her save the company while we solve the real problem. Sienna grabbed her phone. I ran from Detroit 12 years ago. I've been running ever since. I'm done running. It's time to face Officer Hayes and whoever else wants me destroyed. Marcus looked at Julian. Can you keep monitoring the blackmailer's communications while we're gone? Already on it. I'll feed you updates in real time. Then we leave in 1 hour. Marcus wrapped his arm around Sienna. We find out who's really behind this. We expose them. And we end this before our daughter is born into a war zone. But as they prepared to leave Houston, neither of them realized the trap they were walking into. Or that someone they trusted was already planning their complete destruction. The Detroit Greyhound station at 7 a.m. smelled like stale coffee and broken dreams. Marcus had wanted to fly private, but Sienna insisted they needed to stay off the radar. Anyone tracking credit cards or flight manifests would spot a private jet immediately. So they'd driven to Austin, ditched Marcus's Mercedes in long-term parking, bought bus tickets with cash, and spent 6 miserable hours watching America's highways roll past in uncomfortable seats. Sienna's 7-month pregnant belly made every bump in the road torture. But she never complained. Just sat with her hand pressed against the window, staring at nothing, preparing herself for whatever waited in the city she'd fled 12 years ago. Marcus had tried sleeping but couldn't. His phone buzzed every 30 minutes with updates from Julian, nothing good. The blackmailers had sent the video to 3 gossip blogs already. It hadn't hit mainstream news yet, but it was only a matter of time. Gabriella had texted 17 times, each message more frantic than the last. The Mercer meeting had been a disaster. Investors were spooked. The $400 million deal was hanging by a thread. None of that mattered right now. What mattered was the address Sienna had written on a crumpled napkin. An apartment building on Detroit's east side where Kennedy Brooks had lived the night Officer Hayes destroyed her life. They took a taxi from the bus station. The driver, an older black man, kept glancing at Sienna in the rearview mirror. You from around here? He asked. Used to be. Long time ago. Welcome home, then. Though I gotta say, this neighborhood ain't what it used to be. He gestured at the abandoned storefronts, the boarded-up houses, the empty lots where buildings had been torn down and never replaced. City forgot about us. Left us to rot. Sienna's eyes filled with tears. This was the world she'd escaped. The world she'd spent 12 years trying to forget. The taxi stopped in front of a crumbling brick apartment building. Graffiti covered the walls. Windows were broken. The front door hung off its hinges. "This the place?" the driver asked, concerned. "Y'all sure you want me to leave you here?" Marcus paid him double the fare. "We're sure." They stood on the sidewalk as the taxi drove away, leaving them alone in a neighborhood that looked like a war zone. Detroit had filed for bankruptcy a decade ago. Some areas had recovered. This wasn't one of them. "Third floor," Sienna said quietly. "Apartment 3B. That's where Tasha lived. Where Hayes shot her." They climbed the stairs carefully. The building should have been condemned. Half the apartments were empty. The smell of mold and rot was overwhelming. But on the third floor, behind a door marked 3B, they heard voices. Someone lived here. Sienna knocked. The door opened 6 inches, held by a chain lock. A woman peered through the gap, black, late 20s, thin, with cautious eyes that had seen too much. "What you want?" "I'm looking for Tasha Collins. She used to live here." "Tasha's dead. Overdosed 3 years ago. I rent this place now." The woman started to close the door. "Wait." Sienna's voice cracked. "Please. I knew Tasha. I was her friend. I need to know, before she died, did she ever mention Kennedy Brooks?" The woman's expression shifted. Recognition. Then anger. "You Kennedy?" Sienna hesitated. "I was. My name is Sienna now. Tasha talked about you. Said you were the reason she went to prison. Said you ran and left her to take the blame for everything." The woman's voice was hard. "She hated you. Spent 5 years locked up protecting someone who didn't even have the decency to visit her once. I was 17. I was scared. So was she. But she didn't run." The woman looked at Marcus, taking in his expensive clothes, his confident bearing. "This your man? You marry rich and forget where you came from? Forget the people who bled for you?" Marcus stepped forward. "Listen, we're trying to figure out who's blackmailing Sienna about her past. Someone with connections to Detroit PD, someone who knows what happened that night with Officer Hayes. Did Tasha ever mention anyone looking for Kennedy after she got out of prison?" The woman considered this. Then opened the door fully. "Come in. But make it quick. I got kids sleeping." Subscribe and comment where you're watching from. The truth about Tasha changes everything. The apartment was small but clean. Children's toys scattered across the floor. Photos on the wall showing the woman with 2 young girls. She gestured for them to sit on a worn couch. "My name's Nia. I was Tasha's cellmate for 3 years at Huron Valley. She told me everything about Kennedy Brooks, how you stole formula, how Hayes chased you, how she tried to protect you with a knife and ended up shot." Nia poured herself coffee from a pot that looked like it had been on the stove for hours. "But here's what you didn't know. When Tasha got out of prison, Hayes came to see her." "Why would he visit her?" Marcus asked. "To make sure she kept her mouth shut about what really happened that night. See, Tasha wasn't the only witness. There was someone else in that apartment. A white kid. College age. He was there buying drugs when Hayes kicked in the door. He saw everything, Hayes lying about Kennedy being armed, Hayes shooting Tasha without provocation, Hayes planting evidence. The kid recorded it on his phone." Sienna went pale. "There's a recording." "Was a recording." Hayes smashed the kid's phone. Beat him unconscious. Threatened to arrest him for drug possession and ruin his life if he ever talked. The kid was terrified. Rich family. Senator's son or something. He had everything to lose. So he kept quiet. What was his name? Marcus demanded. Nathan. Nathan Caldwell. Tasha remembered because Hayes kept calling him Senator Caldwell's kid while threatening him. Nia sipped her coffee. Few months after Tasha got out, she tried to contact Nathan. Thought maybe together they could expose Hayes. But Nathan wouldn't talk. Said he buried that night and wasn't digging it up. Then 2 weeks ago, Nathan died. Overdose, they said. But Tasha didn't believe it. How do you know all this? Because Tasha called me the day before Nathan died. Said Hayes had been following her. Said she thought Hayes was tying up loose ends. She was scared. I told her to go to the police, but she laughed. Said the police were the problem. 2 days later, Tasha overdosed. Except Tasha had been clean for 8 months. She was doing good. Working at a diner, seeing her daughter again. Why would she suddenly relapse? Marcus and Sienna exchanged a look. You think Hayes killed her? I think Hayes killed both of them. Nathan and Tasha. The only 2 people who could prove he lied in his reports, who could testify he shot an unarmed woman and covered it up. Nia leaned forward. And now you show up. The 3rd witness. Kennedy Brooks. Which means you're in danger too. A knock at the door. Loud. Authoritative. Detroit PD. Open up. Nia's eyes went wide. Did you tell anyone you were coming here? No one, Marcus said. Then they tracked you. She pointed to the fire escape window. Go. Now. They're not here to arrest you, they're here to finish what Hayes started. The knocking became pounding. Open this door or we're breaking it down. Marcus grabbed Sienna's hand and pulled her toward the window. Nia helped them through onto the rusted fire escape. Below, squad cars surrounded the building. Above, officers were climbing toward them. There's an alley 2 buildings over, Nia called out. Go through the basements. They connect. There's an exit on Porter Street. Why are you helping us? Sienna asked. Because Tasha died trying to expose what Hayes did. I'm not letting her sacrifice be for nothing. Nia looked at Sienna with fierce determination. Don't run this time. Fight. Make Hayes pay. The apartment door crashed open behind them. Marcus and Sienna ran. Down the fire escape. Into the basement tunnels that connected the abandoned buildings. Behind them, police radios crackled and footsteps thundered. They emerged on Porter Street, covered in dust and grime, just as a car screeched to a stop beside them. The passenger window rolled down. A young black man sat behind the wheel, eyes hard and angry. Kennedy Brooks. Get in. We need to talk. Who are you? Marcus demanded, putting himself between the stranger and Sienna. Isaiah Brooks. Kennedy's brother. The one she left behind when she ran away and never looked back. Hit subscribe and comment where you're watching from. Family reunion just got dangerous. Before Marcus could respond, police sirens wailed from the alley behind them. They had seconds to decide, trust the estranged brother or face whatever Hayes had planned. Sienna made the choice. She opened the car door and climbed in. Marcus followed, praying they weren't making a fatal mistake. Isaiah hit the gas before Marcus's door was even closed. And in the rearview mirror, Officer Vincent Hayes stood in the alley, watching them disappear. Smiling. Isaiah Brooks drove like he was fleeing the devil himself. The car, a beaten Honda with one broken headlight and a cracked windshield, careened through Detroit's east side at speeds that made Marcus grip the door handle. Sienna sat in the back seat, staring at the brother she hadn't seen in 12 years. He'd been 8 years old when she disappeared. Now he was 25, hardened by streets she'd escaped, carrying scars she'd never know about. "You need to slow down," Marcus said. "If you get pulled over." "I'm not getting pulled over. I know these streets better than Hayes's patrol routes." Isaiah took a sharp turn into an industrial area filled with abandoned warehouses. "Besides, if they wanted us stopped, they'd already have roadblocks up. Hayes doesn't want you arrested. He wants you quiet." The car skidded to a stop behind a massive brick warehouse with shattered windows and graffiti covering every surface. Isaiah killed the engine and turned to face them, his expression cold. "Get out. We need privacy." They followed him into the warehouse through a gap in the chain-link fence. Inside, the space was vast and empty except for rusted machinery and piles of debris. Afternoon sunlight streamed through holes in the roof, creating shadows that made the place feel like a cathedral built for ghosts. Isaiah finally stopped walking, turned, and pulled a gun from his jacket. Marcus immediately stepped between the weapon and Sienna. "Lower it. Now." "Shut up." Isaiah kept the gun steady. "This isn't your conversation. This is between me and Kennedy." "My name is Sienna now," she said quietly from behind Marcus. "Your name is Kennedy Brooks. Same as mine. Same as our mother's. Same as the baby sister who died because you weren't there to feed her." Isaiah's voice shook with barely controlled rage. "You left us. Left me. I was 8 years old, Kennedy. 8. And you disappeared like we meant nothing. I was running from the police. I was 17 and terrified. Mom overdosed 6 months after you left. Did you even know that? Did you care?" Tears streamed down Isaiah's face, but his hand stayed steady on the gun. "Child Protective Services took me. Bounced me through 7 foster homes. Some were okay. Some were hell. I got beat in 3 of them. Starved in 2. And the whole time I wondered where my big sister went. If she was even alive. If she ever thought about the family she abandoned." Sienna was crying now too. "I thought about you every day. Every single day for 12 years. I wanted to come back, wanted to find you, but I was too scared. I changed my name, moved away, built a new life because I thought if I stayed Kennedy Brooks I'd end up dead or in prison. I thought you'd be better off without me." "Better off?" Isaiah laughed bitterly. "I joined a gang at 14 because I had no family to protect me. Been arrested 5 times. Did 8 months in juvie for dealing. Got shot twice before I turned 20. You think that's better off?" Marcus had been calculating angles, distances, whether he could disarm Isaiah before the gun went off. But now he just stood there, witnessing a family destroyed by circumstances and choices made by a scared 17-year-old girl a lifetime ago. "Isaiah, please." Sienna stepped around Marcus despite his attempt to stop her. "I can't undo what I did. Can't bring back those 12 years. But I'm here now. And I need your help." "You need my help?" Isaiah's voice dripped with disbelief. "You show up in my city after 12 years married to some billionaire, pregnant with his kid, living in a mansion somewhere while I'm barely surviving in the same neighborhood that destroyed our family. And you need my help? Someone is blackmailing me. Threatening to expose my past and destroy everything I've built. They're using that night with Officer Hayes, the night I ran, to manipulate me into paying $5 million or going public with footage that will ruin my husband's reputation and send me to prison." Sienna's voice steadied. "But it's not about money. Someone wants me destroyed. And I think Officer Hayes is behind it." Isaiah lowered the gun slightly. "Hayes came to see me 3 weeks ago." The warehouse went silent except for distant traffic and the wind whistling through broken windows. "Subscribe now, Isaiah knows something crucial. He showed up at my apartment asking about Kennedy Brooks," Isaiah continued. Said he was closing old cases, tying up loose ends before he retired. Showed me the convenience store footage from that night. Asked if I knew where you were now, if you'd contacted me, if I had any information about your whereabouts. What did you tell him? Marcus demanded. I told him to get the hell out. Didn't confirm anything. But he kept pushing. Offered me 10 grand to help him find you. I refused. Then he said something that made me realize this wasn't about closing cases. Isaiah's jaw clenched. He said, your sister thinks she got away clean. But she witnessed something that night. Something that could destroy my career and put me in prison. I need to make sure that never surfaces. Then he left. Witnessed what? Sienna asked. I saw him chase me and shoot at me. I already know he's corrupt. Not that. Something else. Something that happened during the 15 minutes you can't remember. Sienna went pale. How do you know about the missing time? Because Tasha told me before she died. She came to see me 2 weeks ago, said she needed to find you, that Hayes was tying up loose ends. She said there was a witness that night, a rich white kid named Nathan Caldwell who recorded Hayes on his phone. Hayes destroyed the phone but couldn't destroy what the kid saw. Nathan kept quiet for 12 years, but recently he'd started talking to lawyers about coming forward. Then Nathan died. Overdose. We heard about Nathan, Marcus said. The woman at Tasha's old apartment told us. Yeah, Nia. She's good people. But here's what she didn't know. Isaiah finally holstered his gun. Nathan didn't just witness Hayes shooting Tasha. He witnessed Hayes killing someone else. In that alley. That night. While you were unconscious. The warehouse seemed to tilt. Sienna grabbed Marcus's arm for support. I was unconscious. Hayes hit you with his baton when you tried to run past him. Knocked you out cold. You were on the ground, bleeding from your head. Nathan was hiding behind a dumpster filming everything. And he recorded Hayes dragging a body into that alley. A body that Nathan thought was already dead when Hayes arrived. Hayes staged it to look like you killed someone during your escape. That's insane. I never killed anyone. I stole baby formula. I know. But Hayes filed a report claiming you were armed, that you attacked him with a weapon, and that a homeless man was found dead in that alley with a head injury matching the type of weapon you supposedly used. The case went cold because they never found you. But if you get arrested now, they reopen that case. And Hayes's falsified evidence makes you look like a murderer. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. So Hayes didn't just shoot at a teenager. He framed her for murder to cover up whatever he was really doing in that alley. Exactly. And Nathan's recording would have proven it. But Nathan's dead. Tasha's dead. And now the only person who can testify against Hayes is Kennedy. Which is why he's blackmailing you. He wants you scared enough to pay the money and disappear forever. Or better yet, get caught trying to flee and end up in prison where you can't talk. Sienna's phone buzzed. Text from Julian. Marcus, you need to see this. The blackmailer just escalated. They sent the video to CNN. It's going national in 1 hour. And there's more, they filed a police report in Detroit claiming Sienna returned to the scene of a 12-year-old murder. There's a warrant out for her arrest. You have maybe 30 minutes before Detroit PD lock down the entire city looking for her. Another text. This one from Gabriella. The company is finished. Every investor pulled out. The Mercer deal collapsed. Your board is calling for your resignation. And I'm not going to stop them. You chose her over everything we built. Now you both can watch it burn. Isaiah read the messages over Marcus's shoulder. Hayes just made his move. He's not waiting for the 72-hour deadline. He's forcing your hand. You can run and prove you're guilty. Or you can stay and get arrested for murder. Hit subscribe now, they're out of options. There's a third choice, Sienna said quietly. She placed a hand on her pregnant belly, feeling their daughter kick. We find proof of what Hayes really did that night. We find the body he framed me for. And we expose him before he destroys us. The alley is a crime scene from 12 years ago, Marcus said. There's no evidence left. Yes, there is. Isaiah pulled out his phone and showed them a photo. Pastor Leon Wade runs a church 3 blocks from where it happened. He's been documenting police brutality in this neighborhood for 20 years. He has security footage from that night. Footage showing Hayes dragging that body into the alley. Footage the police never requested because they didn't want to know the truth. Then we go to the church, Marcus decided. Hayes knows you'll go there. He's probably already on his way. Isaiah headed for the warehouse exit. We have minutes. Maybe less. And if Hayes catches us before we get that footage, none of us are leaving Detroit alive. They ran for the car just as sirens erupted across the city. The manhunt had begun. And Officer Vincent Hayes was hunting the one witness who could destroy his entire life. Pastor Leon Wade's church sat on the corner of Gresham Avenue and Harper Street like a defiant monument to hope in a neighborhood that had forgotten what hope looked like. The building was old, red brick stained with decades of pollution, stained glass windows repaired with duct tape, a wooden cross on the steeple that leaned slightly to the left as if exhausted by the weight of prayers it carried. Isaiah parked 2 blocks away in an alley hidden from street view. Police helicopters circled overhead, searchlights cutting through the afternoon sky even though it wasn't dark yet. They were hunting Sienna with the kind of resources usually reserved for terrorists or cop killers. We go in through the back, Isaiah said, killing the engine. Pastor Wade knows me. He'll help. But if Hayes gets here first. Then we fight, Marcus interrupted. He'd found a tire iron in Isaiah's trunk. Not much of a weapon against guns, but better than nothing. They moved through backyards and empty lots, staying low, avoiding main streets where patrol cars prowled like predators. Sienna struggled to keep pace, her pregnant belly making every step harder. Marcus wanted to carry her but knew that would slow them down more. The church's back door was unlocked. Wade never locked it, Isaiah explained, believing sanctuary meant anyone could enter at any time. They slipped inside into a narrow hallway that smelled like old hymnals and furniture polish. Pastor Wade? Isaiah called out softly. It's Isaiah Brooks. I need your help. Footsteps from the main sanctuary. An older black man emerged, 70s, gray-haired, wearing a cardigan despite the summer heat. His eyes were kind but tired, the eyes of someone who'd witnessed too much suffering and kept showing up anyway. Isaiah. Wade's voice was warm but cautious. I saw the news. They're saying your sister murdered someone 12 years ago. That she's back in Detroit running from the law. It's a lie. Officer Hayes framed her. Isaiah gestured to Sienna and Marcus. This is Kennedy. And her husband. We need the security footage from March 15, 2013. The footage showing the alley behind the church. Wade's expression shifted to understanding. Then to fear. You know about that night. We know Hayes dragged a body into that alley and blamed my sister for the death. We know he filed false reports. And we know you have footage proving it. Isaiah's voice was urgent. Pastor, they're coming. Hayes is coming. If we don't get that footage now, Kennedy goes to prison for a murder she didn't commit. Wade looked at Sienna, studying her face. You were just a child that night. I saw you running past the church, terrified, bleeding. I wanted to help but by the time I got outside, you were gone. Hayes was standing in the alley next to a body. When I asked what happened, he said a suspect fled the scene. Told me not to worry about it. But I've worried about it every day for 12 years. Then help us, Sienna pleaded. Please. I have a daughter coming in 2 months. She deserves to know her mother isn't a murderer. Wade nodded slowly. Follow me. Subscribe now, the truth is hidden in this church. He led them down creaking wooden stairs into a basement filled with old furniture, Christmas decorations, and a wall of filing cabinets. In the corner sat an ancient desktop computer that looked like it belonged in a museum. The church installed security cameras in 2010 after we were robbed 3 times in 1 month. Nothing fancy. Just 4 cameras recording to a hard drive. Nobody ever checks the footage unless something happens. Wade typed a password, the computer took 30 seconds to wake up. March 15, 2013. That was a Friday. I remember because we had evening service and the police presence scared people away. He pulled up grainy black and white footage. For camera angles showing the church parking lot, the side alley, the front entrance, and the back door. Wade fast-forwarded to 11:47 p.m. The timestamp matched the convenience store robbery by about 30 minutes. On camera 3, the alley view, a figure appeared. Officer Vincent Hayes in full uniform. He was dragging something heavy. Someone heavy. A body. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. Who is that? Wade played it in slow motion. Hayes dragged the body to the middle of the alley, positioned it against the brick wall, then did something that made everyone in the basement go cold. He pulled out a knife, not his service weapon, a knife, and placed it near the body's hand. Staging a scene. He's making it look like a mugging gone wrong, Isaiah said. Or like Kennedy killed this person in self-defense. But who is the victim? Marcus asked. Wade zoomed in as much as the ancient footage allowed. The body was male, white, wearing expensive clothes. Even in the grainy video, you could see jewelry, a watch, a ring. That's not a homeless person, Sienna whispered. Hayes said in his report the victim was homeless. But look at his clothes. His shoes. That's someone with money. The camera showed Hayes checking his watch, looking around nervously, then making a phone call. He talked for 90 seconds. Then another figure appeared in the alley from the opposite direction. This person was tall, well-dressed, wearing a long coat. They approached Hayes. Had a brief conversation. Then the second figure pulled out a wallet, counted cash, and handed it to Hayes. He just took payment, Marcus said. Hayes sold evidence. Or covered up evidence. This wasn't about Kennedy at all. This was about whatever deal Hayes made with that second person. Wade enhanced the footage as much as possible. The second figure's face was partially visible for exactly 3 seconds as they turned toward the camera. Isaiah gasped. That's Senator Caldwell. Nathan's father. The pieces clicked into place. Nathan Caldwell, the senator's son, had been buying drugs in the neighborhood that night. He'd witnessed Hayes in that alley. But the person Hayes was protecting wasn't Nathan. It was the body. The dead person Hayes was covering for. That's not Nathan in the alley, Sienna said slowly. That's Nathan's dealer. Or Nathan's friend. Someone Nathan was with that night who ended up dead. And Senator Caldwell paid Hayes to make it disappear. Which means Nathan knew his father covered up a murder, Marcus added. That's why Hayes killed him 2 weeks ago. Nathan was going to expose everything, not just what Hayes did to Sienna and Tasha, but what his own father did that night. Wade pulled up another file. Audio recording from the church's external microphone. Turned up the volume. Hayes's voice, the body disappears. Nobody investigates. You pay me $50,000 and I make sure this goes away. Senator Caldwell's voice, my son can't be connected to this. Do whatever you have to do. Hayes. Already got a suspect. Black girl, 17, was running through here earlier. I'll pin it on her. Self-defense during a robbery attempt. Case closed. Caldwell, And if she talks? Hayes, she won't. She's already running. By morning, she'll be out of state and nobody will ever find her. Your son is clean. The body is a John Doe. You never saw me. The recording ended. Sienna was shaking. He framed me for a murder to protect a senator's son. 12 years of running, 12 years of hiding, because Hayes and Caldwell needed a scapegoat. And now you're the only witness who can prove it, Wade said quietly. Nathan is dead. Tasha is dead. I'm the only other person with this evidence, and I'm 73 years old. If something happens to me. The church's front door exploded open. Heavy footsteps on the floor above. Detroit PD. We have a warrant to search these premises. Wade's face went pale. They're not here to search. They're here to destroy this evidence. Isaiah was already pulling the hard drive from the computer. We need another exit. The tunnel, Wade said. Same one that housed escaped slaves during the Underground Railroad. It connects to the school building 2 blocks east. But you'll have to move fast. Once Hayes realizes the evidence exists, he'll burn this whole church down to destroy it. More footsteps. Voices. Commands being shouted. They were systematically clearing rooms. Subscribe, the escape just got impossible. Marcus grabbed the hard drive from Isaiah. Sienna clutched Wade's arm. Come with us. If Hayes finds you. I'm staying. Someone has to slow them down. Wade smiled sadly. I've been fighting corrupt cops for 40 years, child. I know what I'm doing. Now go. Get that evidence to the FBI. Make sure Hayes and Caldwell pay for what they did. Pastor, Isaiah started. Go. They ran for the tunnel entrance hidden behind a false wall in the basement storage room. Above them, police were searching room by room, getting closer. Wade climbed the stairs to meet them, positioning himself as a human barrier between the police and the basement. Marcus, Sienna, and Isaiah descended into darkness. The tunnel was narrow, damp, smelling of earth and history. Emergency lights installed decades ago flickered weakly, barely illuminating the path. Behind them, voices echoed down the stairs. The basement. They're in the basement. Then a gunshot. Single. Sharp. Final. Sienna screamed. Isaiah grabbed her, keeping her moving forward. Marcus carried the hard drive like it was a nuclear warhead. They emerged in the abandoned school's basement, covered in dirt, gasping for air. Marcus's phone had 1 bar of signal. He called Julian. We have the evidence. Video and audio proof that Hayes and Senator Caldwell framed Sienna for murder to protect Caldwell's son. We need FBI. Now. Julian's voice crackled through poor reception. Already called them. Agent Kendra Walsh is en route to Detroit. But Marcus, Gabriella just filed an emergency injunction seizing all company assets. She's claiming you abandoned your responsibilities to help a fugitive. The board voted unanimously. You're out. Marcus looked at Sienna, at Isaiah, at the hard drive containing truth that cost Pastor Wade his life. Then we're all in, he said. Tell Agent Walsh we're coming to her. No more running. But as they climbed out of the school basement into fading daylight, Officer Vincent Hayes stood waiting across the street. With a rifle. And a smile that promised none of them were leaving Detroit alive. Officer Vincent Hayes stood 50 feet away with a hunting rifle aimed at Marcus's chest. The street was empty, abandoned houses on both sides, no witnesses, no cameras. Just Hayes and 3 people who knew too much about what happened 12 years ago. That hard drive you're carrying, Hayes called out. That belongs to me. Wade should have destroyed it years ago. Now he's dead, and you're about to join him unless you hand it over. Right now. Marcus stepped in front of Sienna, shielding her and their unborn child. Isaiah moved to the side, looking for angles, options, anything that could shift the odds. But Hayes had the high ground, the weapon, and the badge that would let him claim self-defense no matter who he killed. "We already uploaded the footage," Marcus lied. "Our tech specialist has copies. Kill us and it still goes public." Hayes laughed. "Your tech specialist Julian Park? I've been monitoring his communications for 3 days. He hasn't uploaded anything. That hard drive is the only copy. Pastor Wade was old school, didn't trust cloud storage. So let's stop pretending." He adjusted his aim toward Sienna. "Last chance. The hard drive. Or I shoot the pregnant woman and claim she attacked me." "You're a cop," Sienna said, her voice shaking but defiant. "There are rules. Oversight. You can't just murder 3 people in broad daylight. Watch me." Hayes's finger moved to the trigger. A voice cut through the tension. "Lower your weapon, Officer Hayes. FBI. You're surrounded." Agent Kendra Walsh stepped from behind a rusted car across the street, badge held high, weapon drawn. 6 more FBI agents emerged from concealed positions, rooftops, doorways, vehicles. Hayes was boxed in completely. "This is Detroit PD jurisdiction," Hayes said, not lowering his rifle. "You have no authority here. I have federal authority over a kidnapping and conspiracy case. And video footage showing you accepting payment to cover up a murder 12 years ago. That hard drive your suspects are carrying. We already have a backup copy. Julian Park uploaded it to our servers 40 minutes ago while you were busy searching the church." Walsh's voice was steel. "So lower your weapon before this becomes an officer-involved shooting that ends your career instead of just your freedom." Hayes hesitated. Calculating. Then slowly lowered the rifle. 2 agents moved in immediately, securing his weapon and cuffing his hands behind his back. Hayes didn't resist. Just smiled that same cold smile. "You think you've won? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Senator Caldwell has resources you can't imagine. By tomorrow, that footage will be inadmissible. My lawyers will bury you in motions. And Kennedy," he looked directly at Sienna. "You'll still go to prison. Maybe not for murder. But for stealing, for evading arrest, for a dozen other charges I can make stick. You're not walking away clean." "Neither are you," Sienna said quietly. "And that's enough." Walsh gestured for Marcus, Sienna, and Isaiah to approach. "You 3 are coming with us. Protective custody until we sort this out. We have a lot of questions." They were escorted to black SUVs with tinted windows. As they drove away, Marcus watched Hayes being loaded into a different vehicle. The corrupt cop who destroyed Sienna's life, killed Pastor Wade, framed a 17-year-old girl for murder, finally in handcuffs. But Hayes's words echoed in Marcus's mind. "Senator Caldwell has resources you can't imagine. Subscribe now, this fight isn't over." The FBI field office in downtown Detroit looked like every government building Marcus had ever seen, sterile, fluorescent lit, filled with tired agents drinking bad coffee and working cases that never seemed to end. They were separated immediately. Sienna to a medical examination room to check on the baby. Isaiah to an interview room to give his statement. Marcus to Agent Walsh's office. "Your wife's been through hell," Walsh said, pulling up files on her computer. "We've been investigating Senator Philip Caldwell for 8 months. Corruption, bribery, campaign finance violations. But we couldn't touch him. Then Julian Park sent us Pastor Wade's footage yesterday afternoon, and everything clicked into place." "Yesterday?" Marcus leaned forward. "Julian contacted you before we even came to Detroit. He's smart. Knew you were walking into a trap. So he uploaded the evidence as insurance, then called us. We've had agents in Detroit since this morning, watching, waiting for Hayes to make his move. Walsh pulled up more files. The body Hayes framed your wife for. We identified him. Trevor Morrison. 23 years old, college student from a wealthy family. He was Nathan Caldwell's roommate and drug supplier. They were together that night buying product from a dealer. Deal went bad. Trevor ended up dead, beaten to death with a blunt object. Nathan called his father in a panic. Senator Caldwell called Hayes, who he'd been paying protection money to for years. Hayes staged the scene, framed Kennedy Brooks, who happened to be running through the alley at the exact wrong time, and made Trevor's death disappear. What happened to Nathan? He kept quiet for 12 years out of fear and guilt. Then he got sober last year, started therapy, decided he couldn't live with the secret anymore. He contacted a lawyer about coming forward. That lawyer was killed in a car accident 2 weeks before Nathan's scheduled testimony. Nathan died of an overdose 3 days later. Both deaths ordered by his own father to keep the family's secret buried. Marcus felt sick. Caldwell killed his own son. We believe so. Can't prove it yet. But with Hayes in custody and this footage as evidence, we're building a case. Walsh closed the files. Your wife isn't guilty of anything except surviving. All charges against her will be dropped. But Caldwell is going to fight this with everything he has. And he has a lot. Marcus's phone buzzed. Text from Gabriella. Board meeting in 1 hour. They're voting to permanently remove you as CEO and transfer full ownership to me. I tried to stop them, Marcus. I really did. But you left me no choice. You chose her over the company. Now you lose both. He stared at the message, numb. His wife was safe but traumatized. His company was gone. His reputation was destroyed. Everything he built over 15 years, vanished in 72 hours. There's something else, Walsh said carefully. We traced the blackmail messages. The encrypted texts demanding $5 million. They didn't come from Hayes. Marcus looked up sharply. Then who? Someone with access to both Hayes's police files and your personal financial records. Someone who knew your business schedule, your wife's past, and exactly how to manipulate both of you. Walsh turned her screen toward him. The IP address trace showed a location in Houston, Texas. Not Detroit. Not Michigan. Houston. The messages originated from Gabriela Santos's home office. Marcus couldn't breathe. No. Gabriela wouldn't. She's been planning this for months. Hired the private investigator who found Kennedy Brooks's sealed records. Made contact with Hayes and offered him money to resurrect the case. Coordinated the timing to coincide with your biggest business deal. All designed to create chaos, destroy your marriage, force you out of the company, and seize control of your assets. Walsh pulled up more evidence. She worked with your ex-fiancée Vanessa Thorne, who had her own grudge. Together they orchestrated everything, the blackmail, the media leaks, the warrant for your wife's arrest. Hayes and Caldwell were just tools they used. Why? Gabriela and I built that company together. Because you got married. Because you chose Sienna over her. Because she's been in love with you for 10 years and you never noticed. Walsh showed him emails. Messages between Gabriela and Vanessa dating back 18 months, all discussing how to remove Sienna from the picture, and make Marcus see reason. Hit subscribe. Betrayal came from inside. The office door opened. Sienna walked in, exhausted but steady. The baby's fine. Doctor says everything looks good considering the stress. Marcus stood and pulled her into his arms. Gabriela was behind the blackmail. She orchestrated everything. The company's gone, but she's going to prison for extortion, conspiracy, and a dozen other charges. Sienna processed this. Then laughed. Not with joy. With exhausted relief. So we lost everything. Not everything. We have each other. We have our daughter coming in 2 months. We have the truth. Marcus looked at Agent Walsh. What happens now? Now we arrest Senator Caldwell, Gabriela Santos, Vanessa Thorne, and anyone else involved in this conspiracy. Hayes will testify against Caldwell in exchange for a lighter sentence. Your wife's record is expunged. And you two get to go home and rebuild your lives. Isaiah appeared in the doorway. Agent said I'm free to go. No charges. Sienna looked at her brother, the boy she'd abandoned, now a man who'd saved her life. Come with us. To Houston. Start over. Family. Isaiah hesitated. Then nodded. Yeah. Family. They left the FBI office as the sun set over Detroit. The city that had tried to destroy Sienna 12 years ago was finally letting her go. Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him. Gabriela's voice. Desperate. Panicked. Marcus, please. The FBI is at my door. Tell them I didn't mean, tell them it was a mistake. You tried to destroy my wife. You stole my company. You blackmailed us and put a pregnant woman's life at risk. Marcus's voice was cold. You're on your own. He hung up. 3 hours later, CNN broke the story. Senator Philip Caldwell arrested for murder and conspiracy. Officer Vincent Hayes charged with evidence tampering and homicide. Gabriela Santos and Vanessa Thorne facing federal extortion charges. And Kennedy Brooks, now Sienna Donovan, was finally free. 6 months later, Sienna stood in the nursery of their Houston home, rocking baby Destiny to sleep while watching news coverage of Senator Caldwell's sentencing. 25 years for conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power. Officer Hayes got 30 years. Gabriela Santos received 15 years for extortion and conspiracy. Vanessa Thorne took a plea deal, 7 years, testifying against everyone. The empire Marcus had built was gone. The board had voted to dissolve the company during the scandal, selling assets to competitors. But Marcus didn't seem to care anymore. He'd started over with a smaller real estate firm, taking only ethical clients, working reasonable hours so he could be home for dinner with his family. Isaiah lived in their guest house, enrolled at Houston Community College studying social work. He and Sienna were slowly rebuilding what 12 years had broken. Some nights they talked about their mother, about baby Destiny who died, about all the ways poverty and addiction had destroyed their family. Other nights they just watched movies and ate takeout like normal siblings. She's beautiful, Marcus said from the doorway, watching Sienna with their daughter. Just like her mother. Her mother was a criminal who stole baby formula and ran from the police, Sienna said softly. Her mother was a 17-year-old girl who did whatever it took to save a baby. There's a difference. Marcus wrapped his arms around both of them. You know CNN wants to interview you. They're calling it, the senator's cover-up, how one woman's past exposed political corruption. Let them. I'm not hiding anymore. Sienna looked at her husband. We lost everything. The company. The money. The reputation. Are you okay with that? Subscribe now, redemption has a price. We didn't lose everything. We lost the things that didn't matter. Marcus kissed her forehead. I have you. I have Destiny. I have a brother-in-law who's becoming family. We have a home, food, safety. Everything else. We'll rebuild. Together. A knock at the door. Isaiah answered, then called up the stairs. Sienna, someone's here to see you. They went downstairs to find a young black woman standing in the entryway. Early 20s, nervous, holding a folder. My name is Trinity. I was in foster care with Isaiah years ago. Different home, but we kept in touch. He told me your story. About how you ran and survived and rebuilt your life. And her voice broke. I have a record too. Juvenile stuff. Sealed but still there. I've been hiding who I was, terrified someone would find out. But seeing what you did, how you fought back, it made me realize I don't have to keep running. Sienna took the young woman's hands. What do you need? Help. Guidance. I want to go to college, become a social worker like Isaiah. But I don't know how to move forward when I'm still looking over my shoulder. Marcus and Sienna exchanged a look. We're starting a foundation, Marcus said. For people with records who want second chances. Full scholarships. Legal support. Job placement. We fund it with what's left of our savings. You'd be our first recipient. Trinity's eyes filled with tears. Why would you help me? Because someone should have helped Kennedy Brooks 12 years ago, Sienna said. And I can't change my past. But I can change someone else's future. 3 months later, the Kennedy Brooks Foundation had helped 47 people. Former foster kids. Ex-convicts. Undocumented immigrants. Anyone society had written off. Sienna gave her CNN interview. It went viral. Millions watched a woman admit her past and claim it proudly. I'm not ashamed of Kennedy Brooks anymore, she told the camera. She survived. She protected her family. She did what she had to do. And Sienna Donovan exists because Kennedy Brooks refused to give up. The interview ended with Sienna holding baby Destiny, Marcus beside her, Isaiah in the background, and a message that resonated with thousands. Your past doesn't define you. Your courage does. And if you're running from who you were, stop. Turn around. Face it. Own it. Because the only way to be free is to stop hiding. Hit subscribe, because the truth always sets you free.